What you are looking at is the undamaged corner of a box which has 3 other undamaged corners just like it. I guess the Christmas crush is over. This is the label on the top of the box, and as you see, they're from one bookshelf. They're basically from DriveThru Cards. 2 decks of cards and 1 print-on-demand Game Master screen. Long-term viewers of this channel will thrill to the return of the original X-Acto knife as we cut it open. Now, what is this, really? Well, from time to time, companies contact me, not very often, because this channel is not a major player, but from time to time people contact me and ask me to do reviews, and I usually say, I'm sorry, but no. By the time I feel comfortable reviewing a product, it'll be years from now, after I've played it a lot. But sometimes people actually pay attention to what this channel actually does do. Well, Grim Perilous Studios is one such group of people, or person, I should say, who does pay attention. And they sent me these so that I could do what I do, which is this. For a minute there, when I opened the box, I thought I'd gotten something from Noble Knight because of that plain paper. But no, this is from DriveThru Cards. See the notation? No tuck, for no tuck box for the cards. They come wrapped with 2 bands of clear plastic. This one seems to have been broken in transit. The cards are, of course, fine. Now, since these were shipped, actually, Grim Perilous has put up a pay what you want, print it yourself tuck box, which, if it proves popular, people might be able to order as a print-on-demand product. I'm not sure about that at this time, but there you have it. Now, these are the tarot card size. And I'll show you the normal card size of a DriveThru Cards product later on in the video so you can compare. For the standard size card decks, you can order plastic card boxes. I'm not sure if you can do that for this larger format of card. So, this is the back. Unsurprisingly, it looks like a printed card. Now, each of the cards in the stack are color-coded, which is pretty cool. Now, this big lime green covering is hiding the Game Master's screen, which is a 4-panel screen, which includes 4 panels of art as well. The fronts are printed, the backs are white. There are several places where you can get a fillable GM screen, such as the World's Greatest Screen, and at DriveThru RPG, you're given the option to include one with your order if you like. So it's quite easy to get this ready to go for yourself. What you get when you order it are the printed panels. So let's open everything up and take a look. As you can see, all the different sets of magical cards within this large stack are color-coded. They have card back art, like a tarot card on one side, and they have the spell text on the other with a color border. Revealing that will be our next stop. It'll be good to get rid of that lime green covering. Alright, so I'll just remove this transparent band. Just as a reminder, each of the decks come with 2 bands, 1 in each direction. This one, the Divine Magic pack or deck, it had already come off a little bit in transit, so I've previously removed it. Now, as I mentioned before, each grouping of spells is color-coded, and you can see hints of that here. I'm just trying to find the end of the first group. So the Divine Magic are separated by the gods which provide the spells. We can see the custodian here, so the card back, or card face, as you might prefer, shows the custodian. Let's get a good look at it. So all the spells in this group will have that as its back, and all the spells in this group will have this coloring on what I think of as the front, where the spell information is. Either way, it will be true. So the whole series, a large number of cards. You turn them around, they all have the same sort of format, each revealing the details of individual spells. There's a large number of spells in each category. So that first set of cards I peeled off with the striking red border, that's from the Crouching One. See if we can get one that's more in focus. And each of the spells in that category has its nice red border. So let's look at the entire set from a better angle. Before we do that, however, there's one thing we should talk about, and that's the Generalist Petty Magic deck. You'll find this deck is added to each one of the Arcane deck and the Divine Magic deck. These are also available separately, but if you've ordered the Arcane deck or the Divine Magic deck, you don't need to order these. They're already included. And there's quite a fat stack of them, so that's quite a nice inclusion indeed. Take a look at that. All of these are the Generalist and Petty Magic cards. Anyway, let's take a look at all the cards together. Voila! Here are all the Divine Magic cards with their godly back faces outward. We've got the Crouching One, the Custodian, the Demiurge, the God Emperor, the Learner, the Leviathan, and then now, out of order, the Winter King, the Steward, the Night Father, and the Martyr. And as I mentioned, the General and Petty Magic deck is appended to this deck as it is to the Arcane Magic deck. And now if we can swim back into focus, let's look at the spell information on the other sides, as well as their colorful borders for easy identification. Don't worry, we'll zoom in a little bit in a moment. The information on the back of a card is information like the distance to the target, the required reagents, the duration of the spell, the actual effect of the spell, what a critical success might mean, and what a critical failure might mean. So we look in, we see, let's get back into focus, we see the level of detail that goes into designing each of these cards, making us feel like we're in that grim and perilous world when we look at the art side of the deck, and giving us lots of easy to access information on the player facing side of the card. An easily read font size was chosen, good color for the background of the text, not a lot of watermarking or things that might take away from the legibility, plus the finish of the card is a very low gloss. The color choices as well should be easily distinguishable as different by anybody who looks at them, which is a great segue into the next product. The screen was designed with color blindness in mind. The color choices are ones which should be easily discernible by those with either type of color blindness. It's not so much what color you see that matters, just that you know that the color is different. There's a lot of information on this screen. It's packed, but without sacrificing that legibility that we mentioned for the cards. And a lot of stuff is here. We have the injury track down both sides, or both extreme sides of the screen. So on the left side of this panel and on the right side of the last panel in the series. The two middle panels don't have it. We have all the information related to each other, grouped together, and easy to read, which is exactly what you want in a screen. Each panel is designed for portrait. So if you're going to get a fillable or customizable GM screen, you'll need to get a portrait one, not a landscape one. Like its namesake, the Zweihander, this screen will truly tower over the field of battle, or at least the table of play. So let's flip through all the different cards. This is the leftmost card. As I mentioned before, it's blank on the back, so it can go into your customizable screen and you lose nothing. This is the second card, the leftmost of the two middle cards. This is the right of the two middle cards. You can see it's just packed with information. This is a very full card. Then the last panel, the rightmost panel, which, as I mentioned earlier, contains the injury track down its rightmost side. So whichever side of the table you're looking at, it's going to be right there in your field of view. But we're not done yet. We also have 4 panels of portrait art describing one very big, very ugly scene, such as you might encounter in a grim and perilous world, sure to inspire your crew. So this would go in the outside pockets of your customizable GM screen, or I suppose you could leave them blank or fill it up with any other kind of art you might need, or maps, or player-facing references, or what have you. The choice is yours. That's really the perk of this print-on-demand screen type ordering. So there's the whole image put together, and we'll slowly slide down the entire thing as we see what has befallen our heroes. Nice full color, very grim, and of course, very perilous. Now I don't want you to think I've forgotten the Arcane magic deck. As you see, it also includes the Generalist Petty Magic deck, like I mentioned, and is built in exactly the same format as the Divine Magic set. We have our colorful outer art face, and we have our color-bounded inner information face containing the details of the spell. It's a very dramatic set, both in terms of art and in color. We've got Animism, Astromancy, Elementalism, Luminescence, Morticism, Necromancy, it's hard to live without that, the always warming Pyromancy, and the next card, I think, is perhaps the most elegant in the whole set, and that's Shadowmancy. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I quite like that card. Then next to it, we see Transformation. Under it here, we see, once again, the Generalist and Petty Magic. The last card, or the last set in the bunch after Transmutation, is Sorcery. So as we take one last pass across the set, my apologies for casting shadows across the cards. The cards themselves are a quick way to keep players informed of what their spells can and can't do, while at the same time contributing to the mood of play. So it's really hard to beat this as a resource. Also, the cards are available in PDF, as is the screen. So you could use them as a resource from your tablet or other digital device without needing to go in for print on demand. But the quality of the print on demand material is great. Let's get back to the screen. Just to be fair, let's take a look at what the inner facing panels would look like for the Game Master if they were in a customizable screen. Of course, later in the video, I'll actually show them to you in a customizable screen. There's lots of little hidden details on the edges of the panels, and every effort has been made to make the information easy to find. Of course, with all of this information present, I think a Game Master will have to take a little bit of time to familiarize themselves with where everything is, so that the screen can do its job and speed up play. But at first blush, it seems like a very well designed screen. Without adding too much runtime to this video, there's a couple more things I wanted to show you. The primary one is what the panels look like in an actual customizable screen. This one is the world's greatest screen. There's a video detailing them, and you can see this one and its landscape companion. But I also wanted to show what normal size print-on-demand cards look like, as well as the plastic box that you can get for those. These particular cards are used with Mithras for the combat system, and that's what I wanted to show you, the difference in size. Otherwise, the cards are exactly the same. Same type of finish, same type of feel. Okay, let's take a look at the screen as a screen. This particular copy of the world's greatest screen in portrait has never been used, so it's a perfect opportunity to put it into use. Now, I have never opened this one before, so it's a little bit stiff, but it's still in great shape. Now, you do have to be a little bit careful with this material. It's very similar to what we had it for binders, ring binders. But in the hinges here, you do have to keep your eye out for cracks or splits. This is not something that you want to flex. This is something you just want to open and use. But look what a tight fit, what a tight seal there is for the transparent material, which is going to hold your cards in place. I find them a little bit difficult to use with paper that I print myself, but it's a nice, tight, solid fit. Easy to, well, fairly easy to slide in if you're using cardstock. And I'll try and show you how I get them in there with one hand and a camera in a minute. Why wait? Okay, so this is a very tight fit. As I mentioned, tight enough that this stiff cardboard has difficulty separating it from the vinyl background. So I'm going to have to give it a little bit of help here. And it's probably still not going to be as easy as all the other panels were because the camera's on. Oh, there we go. All right, and now I'm pretty sure that it's mostly out of focus, but let's soldier on, shall we? So with a little bit of wiggling from side to side, a little bit of patience, a little bit of frustration, in it goes. All right, so I've got all 4 panels in. They're very easy to read. Now that they're in there, the screen is a little bit thicker. So if you had it like wedged into your shelf, as I did, and then put all 8 panels in, it will no longer go back into that space. But anyway, it's still a very convenient device. So this is what it would look like if you were sitting behind your screen. Very colorful and just a wall of information. Each section color-coded, and one of those situations where it's a place for everything and everything in its place. And sharp-eyed viewers are noticing the Zweihander in the background on the shelf. Okay, well, let's take a look at the other side. If you choose to use the 4 panels of art for the reverse, what's that going to look like? Personally, I tend to leave this side of the screen blank, but in a game like Zweihander, having that inspirational art might be just the ticket for getting the game off the ground. So let's load it up and see what it looks like. The full image portrays a combat mainly in darkness, and so there are a lot of blacks. But for all that, there are vibrant colors as well, and lots of detail. So this screen really stands out, and as you notice as we move around to the final panel, nowhere on it does it provide advertising information for the game. It speaks for itself, and this is something that I really like in a screen. I really don't like it when the name of the game is splashed across the outside of the screen. Now, I realize that most screens should do that, especially in the convention environment, so people know what game they're seeing played. But if I have my opportunity to have what I want, then this is the style I would like. Just let the art speak for itself. If it does its job right, people will come asking about the game, and I think that's better than just seeing and knowing what game is being played. So these are how the individual panels fit into the screen, and that concludes our overview of these products.